What's your name?
Hey, stay with us, okay?
I don't know what I need right now. For that guy to live.
You just heard concern in the voice of Sergeant Ed Roberts. That guy he's referring to is Bryan Galeana Mendoza, who was just shot.
Just ran over my foot. Get out of the car!
Just 8 minutes earlier, he was trying to avoid arrest. Investigators had been tailing him after this bulletin had been sent out by the Puget Sound Auto Theft Task Force. The man pictured here, believed to be Galeana Mendoza. He'd been linked to multiple car thefts, so when he did this,
We got PC now.
higher-ups said they had probable cause to chase. He wouldn't go far, though. Now, the crash you just saw took place at 160th and Canyon Road. Galeana Mendoza lived about 1 mile away, and deputies were now hot on his trail. Sergeant Roberts was the first to arrive, where he watched Galeana Mendoza ditch his car, not even taking time to put it in park.
You're getting on a motorcycle.
Sergeant Roberts approaches on foot as Galeana Mendoza gets his motorcycle prepped for a getaway.
Stop or I'll shoot you!
Deputy Bryan Johnson pulls up as Roberts yells commands.
Stop! Stop!
But he didn't stop. What happens next plays out in seconds. Johnson arrives and throws his car into park. Within the next 5 seconds, he'll open his door, pull out his gun, and begin to fire. Galeana Mendoza's back is to the officer. As a second, then third and final shot is fired. That shot hitting him in the back, taking him to the ground.
There was no criminal investigation as to what Bryan Galeana Mendoza did prior to this shooting.
This is Galeana Mendoza's attorney. While an 11-page review issued by Pierce County Prosecuting Attorney Mary Robnett calls the shooting justified and lawful, he's not so certain.
The sentence for Bryan is that he will be permanently disabled, that he is paralyzed from the waist down for the rest of his life.
Meaning taxpayers could be on the hook, as this shooting and Johnson's decision-making will go under the microscope as Galeana Mendoza takes the county to civil court. So we dug into every angle of that day's events, looking at dash cams and body cams.
Now he's got his handgun out.
Reviewing each critical moment with David Sweeney, a 30-plus year veteran of the force who now testifies in use-of-force cases around the state.
All right, he just went into the Pacific Pride pocket.
Fox 13 obtained video from each key player and dug up documentation from the county's investigation. Now, the prosecutor explains that Johnson didn't always remember how things unfolded,
Just ran over my foot.
including at what point Johnson's foot was run over. She writes, this discrepancy in sequence is understandable and is not critical to this analysis. But later, a bigger discrepancy draws no comment. Now, contrary to video evidence, Johnson claims that just before he opened fire, Galeana Mendoza was, quote, coming directly toward him on the motorcycle before he suddenly changed directions.
It almost feels by offering this statement, he was driving right at me, but then not to rebut it with the video that they surely had to see. That's actually the part that surprised me.
The prosecutor did take the time to explain some discrepancies in Johnson's statement about what happened at the actual first stop. But the prosecutor did not explain this discrepancy that you and I are discussing, that it does not appear, from what we see, that the motorcycle drives towards Johnson. It might come closer to him as it moves from the right side of the road to the left, but clearly it does not turn towards him.
We also learned that Sergeant Roberts was trying to stop Johnson from opening fire. He wasn't confident taking his own shot, but asked about Johnson's, he told investigators that deadly force may have been warranted.
When I first saw the video, and I just thought this was a pursuit case, I thought that was a bad shooting.
But Sweeney's tune changed as we read Johnson's statement that was given to investigators. A detective had warned Johnson that Galeana Mendoza was connected to an off-duty police officer being shot 1 year earlier.
Hey, this is their hideout, guys. They like to shoot cops.
To be clear, Galeana Mendoza was never charged, and we don't know if he was involved. But we do know that he was linked to multiple cars being stolen and 2 instances of a gun being flashed in the days before this. Adding it all up, Sweeney calls it a justified shooting.
That made a complete total 180 for me. And now when I look at it, I realize the danger level that this suspect posed to the public. I think just the idea that the officer knew the danger factors that were present, and that influenced his decision on whether to shoot or not.
Of course, not everyone agrees.
The trigger never should have been pulled. It was not safe for him to shoot at Bryan Galeana Mendoza.
Now that statement isn't just about Galeana Mendoza. I was actually out at the scene and found this bullet hole. Workers were near the site and say they started to scramble when the bullets started to be fired. There's also Galeana Mendoza's girlfriend who was there during the crash and the shooting. She was pregnant at the time but lost the baby, they claim, due to stress. So was this a good shot? A civil court may have the final say, though I'm told Galeana Mendoza's attorney does want the AG's office to review this case. Matthew Smith, Fox 13 News.